Chicken! It's what we're making today because you requested it. I asked on the community tab, what do you guys want to see me do in my next session of shooting? And this dish, biryani, was specifically requested. So that's what we're going to make today. It is a Pakistani/Indian dish. And I have all the ingredients laid out in front of me for the main dish. It is served over a basmati rice traditionally. However, the user that asked for it did ask me to do it over a cauliflower pasta. So after we get this going, and it has to stew down in the pot for about 45 minutes, then we'll pull everything back out and get the pasta set up. I'm Chef James MacInnis, and welcome to my kitchen.
Alright, let's see if I can take it through this description of the video. We've got all of the herbs and spices and ingredients laid out on my counter in the order we're going to use them. Let's start out with putting some oil and potatoes. This dish calls for potatoes. It's supposed to be a celebration dish, so I think the potatoes are kind of a flex. Like, I can have rice and potatoes, I'm guessing. Anyways, the recipe called to brown off the potatoes in halves and then put them off to the side basically for like 80% of the cooking now. But in the same Dutch oven, which is almost comically undersized. I had this thing filled to the top when we were done. We're going to put in our onions. I don't know why. I think I doubled the recipe, assuming that this was going to be a good dinner and that we could, eat it all week long kind of thing, like half the week. But wait till you hear my final thoughts at the end before you double the recipe. So let's get our tomatoes, our salt and pepper in. Brand new shakers, got them at Christmas. It was a gift from the missus. You want to stir this till you get all of the liquid out of the tomatoes to make like a gravy. Add in your yogurt and herbs and spices and then simmer it for about 20 minutes. This should have been the first concern coming up, is that the recipe called for the chicken to just be dumped in and stewed. Always bring it to a full boil and then roll it down a bit to a simmer. That way you can make sure you got enough heat in the pot to cook your raw chicken. Next time if I do this, I'm going to brown the chicken off in my wok first, and I'm going to season the chicken. This recipe called for it to literally just get dumped in. That should have been my first red flag that I saw.
Okay. This is like my fifth take doing this part. We're going to run through it now whether I do it right or not. In the Dutch oven behind me, I have a traditional dish. Now, the request was to do it over a cauliflower pasta. So I'm breaking with tradition. I'm also going to break a little bit with the request and how we're going to handle this. I'm assuming they just want to see me make a pasta using cauliflower and arrowroot flour, I'm assuming, to make a dough. I don't have a pasta maker, so I'm not going to be cutting fresh noodles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cauliflower, I'm going to chop it up and put it in my pot. And I have another pot of water going where I'm going to add some gluten-free penne. I'm assuming because they asked for cauliflower pasta, they do want a gluten-free version, which you would still get if it was done on basmati rice. Some people just don't like rice though. So I'm going to chop up this cauliflower, put it in my pot, and then I'm going to put the pasta in the water.
Moving along, we're just going to dice up the cauliflower nice and small with our knife. But yeah, back to the chicken. I would have seasoned it with some turmeric and some cardamom and maybe a little cinnamon and then fried it up. Now let's get our potatoes into the pot. And then we're going to also just dump in our cauliflower because that's what was requested. I believe I probably put the lid on and gave it a 20-minute simmer before I just dumped in the cauliflower because the cauliflower was already frozen and was a bit soft. Mix everything up and stir it good. You want to make sure that you have all the flavor here incorporated. Now, I'm going to advise against doing it over pasta, because the recipe that we did use did call for this to be done over basmati rice, and in the rice portion of the recipe was another round of herbs and spices that I think the dish needs to not taste so flat. Plating up though, this did look impressive, I thought. We have the pasta on the bottom with a very nice yellow curry sauce that was made from the from the ground turmeric and ginger. Was there ginger? I think there was ginger. I made butter chicken the very next day, so I had a couple recipes floating around. But we garnished it with some diced mint.
Okay, let's see what all the fuss was about and why this was recommended. So I started this at like 11 o'clock this morning, and it is now 2:30. I've seen a few articles about this that says, you know, this is like a special occasion dish. It's going to take a while. So, and it wasn't like a lot of it was passive time either. For me to gather the ingredients and do the prep still took me about 25 minutes. The rest of it was passive after that. I mean, it's all right. I don't really understand the potato. To have, you know, half potatoes in here, I don't really get it. I imagine it's something different on rice though. The chicken's got alright flavor. Ha ha. So it didn't really call for anything that added heat. I think this is a dish that could serve from a little more heat, some spice. And so if I were to do this again, I would probably brown up the chicken and not just simmer it, like a poached effect. I think that adding some darkening to the chicken would probably intensify the flavor a little more. And instead of throwing the spice mixture just in like that, treating it like a wet ingredient with the tomatoes, I'd probably want it in a little earlier, maybe toast it even if I had the time. I'd probably toast it. Now my Western palate does not necessarily like this that much. Maybe I did something wrong. If you have any recommendations on something I can do different, because I do like the idea of this, so I think I might try this again and post a but better style video in the future. I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, for this week, I've been Chef James MacInnis, and thanks for coming to my kitchen.